too.
Jack Reacher is back with a new mystery at hand after solving the murder of his older brother last season. Prime Video has released the first 3 episodes of the second season of this thrilling drama. We follow Reacher while he investigates the deaths of his old friends from the Special Investigative Unit and a large conspiracy that might be behind all the deaths. Let us now get into the events that have taken place so far. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Who is Jack Reacher? Jack Reacher, portrayed by Alan Ritchson in the Prime Video series, was born into a military family. Reacher's upbringing was marked by constant moving across various countries due to his father Stan's service in the US Marine Corps. His mother Josephine would teach him to not reject his strength and use it to always do what is right. Reacher grew up being called by his last name and shared a strong bond with his older brother Joe. Their strong bond was evident by how they defended each other from bullies, especially at the Okinawa base when Reacher was just 12. At the Okinawa base, Reacher and Joe would come across a group of bullies who would not only pick on them but also bully younger kids who were unable to fight back. Reacher would beat the bully kids using a fortune-telling ball on their heads, causing facial damage. Joe would go on to take the blame due to Reacher's young age due to the interference of the military police. The bully kids were the children of a commanding officer, and Joe and Reacher were forced to apologize due to their father's job being at stake. Following high school, Reacher attended the West Point Military Academy and graduated top of his class. He was then enlisted in the military and served as a member of the military police. During his posting at a small village near Baghdad, Reacher befriended a few local kids, and one day, when he found them being abused by some older men, scared them off by threatening them. The men would later attack him in his tent, leading to Reacher killing them and then using his military connection to hide the incident. During his time at Kandahar, Reacher would go on to save 12 men from a bomb explosion, carrying 2 men at a time. And he would also return to active duty in just 32 hours after being treated for inhaling smoke and going through surgery for the removal of shrapnel from his jawbone. Reacher then would visit his mother in France when she fell sick along with Joe and would be gifted his brother's World War II French medal, reminding him again to always do the right thing. She would pass away soon after this. Reacher would be chosen by the US Army to create a special investigation unit for the military police, allowing him to pick the members of his team. The unit would go on to close over 100 cases before disbanding. Following this, Reacher retired from the army and took up a nomadic lifestyle with very little possession and travel across the country he had served. Margrave Incident revealed the killer of his brother. Reacher arrives in the town of Margrave, Georgia, only to be mistakenly arrested for a double murder. He gets released soon after a local man, Paul Hubble, confesses to the murder. Reacher gets to know that Hubble only confessed due to the lives of his family being under the threat of a criminal group. Reacher soon becomes determined to find the real killer after learning one of the victims is his older brother Joe. He teams up with the town's detectives, Oscar Finlay and Roscoe Conklin, along with medical examiner Jasper. Hubble goes missing upon his release from prison, leading to Finlay asking his friend from the FBI, Picard, to place Hubble's family under his protection. Finlay is asked not to investigate the murders by Margrave's corrupt mayor, Grover Teal, who takes over the position of police chief following the murder of the previous police chief, Ed Morrison, and his wife. Reacher and allies soon find out that Joe was in Margrave to help the Secret Service investigate the reports of a large-scale money counterfeiting operation. Reacher also finds out that the other murder victim was a truck driver named Pete Joblin, who was responsible for driving these counterfeit notes to different locations for the businessman Mr. Kleiner. Though without any evidence, Reacher fails to connect Kleiner to the ongoing murders. When Joe's colleague Molly Beth arrives in the town to provide Reacher with Joe's investigative files, she too ends up getting murdered and the files get stolen. Meanwhile, Finlay ends up finding Kleiner murdered in his own office when breaks in to look for evidence that can help prove Kleiner guilty. Kleiner gets murdered for failing to deliver the counterfeit money to his impatient partners in Venezuela, while Finlay and Conklin get fired from the police department by Mayor Teal. Soon, Picard reveals himself to have betrayed Finlay, working for the Kleiner family and Mayor Teal, while Mr. Kleiner's son, KJ, is revealed to have been the murderer of all those who came close to jeopardizing the counterfeiting business. KJ also captured the Hubble family along with Conklin, who had been looking after them, to threaten Reacher for getting him Paul Hubble, who used to be a former employee of Kleiner and agreed to help Joe to take the family down. Reacher soon finds Hubble and teams up with Finlay and an old friend from military police, Negley, to take down KJ in his warehouse. The final showdown ends with Finlay killing Picard, Conklin killing Mayor Teal, and Reacher killing KJ, along with burning down his whole counterfeit business.
You're at least 3 short.
What to expect in Season 2 of The Reacher? 2 years have passed since the events of Margrave in the first season. Reacher has gone back to his nomadic life, enjoying the freedom that comes with it. But another event occurs, this time spiraling back Reacher into the world of mysteries with lives at stake. This season deals with the mystery surrounding the members of the US Army's Military Police 110th Division's Special Investigation Unit. The unit was headed by Reacher himself, who handpicked the other members investigating matters regarding military personnel, alongside Francis Neely, Calvin Franz, David O'Donnell, Tom Swan, Carla Dixon, Stan Lowry, Jorge Sanchez, and Manuel Orozco. The mystery kicks off with the body of Franz being thrown off a helicopter into an area of snow and woods. Neely, learning about Franz's death along with 2 other members, Sanchez and Orozco being missing, contacts Reacher about the information through an ATM receipt that contains his unit's number and a 10:30 distress call, along with a first-class plane ticket to New York. Reacher also finds out that former member Lowry has died in a car accident a few years ago, and Franz got married and also had a child. Flashbacks throughout fill in on the team's first meeting, following which they started the investigation of missing plane fuel. Not much is revealed other than a murdered victim with a symbol on his palm that signals heroin from Afghanistan. Reacher gives the task to Dixon to find any connection between the victim and the missing fuel. The missing fuel is explained by an overload in the plane, hinting at someone using military planes to smuggle heroin from Afghanistan. As Neely and Reacher prepare to investigate, a man named Soropian is shown to be following them, hired by someone from the New Age Technology, an aerospace company. As both of them go through Franz's trashed office space, they conclude that whatever the person was looking for must have been really small, as even the chair legs were broken to check for hiding spots, and later find this to be a USB drive hidden in Franz's mailbox. The USB drive contained 2 pieces of information: a list of aliases with all the first names starting with the letter A and the last name starting with the letter M, and a bunch of numbers, printed over 7 pages, later understood to be dated regarding shipments by Dixon. AM, meanwhile, the owner of the aliases, has been traveling across the country, Los Angeles, Colorado, and Washington. Reacher and Neely would also later come back to find their hotel room to be trashed, along with the presence of their old colleague O'Donnell, who apparently found the place to be trashed on arrival. Reacher and Neely would also later come back to find their hotel room to be trashed, along with the presence of their old colleague O'Donnell, who apparently found the place to be trashed on arrival. Reacher and his team are also being followed by New York police officer Gaetano Russo, who is investigating the death of Calvin Franz, and also considers Reacher to be a prime suspect. Reacher would end up assaulting Russo, not knowing that he is an officer, and would get arrested too. But the arrest would end up helping Reacher to team up with Russo in investigating the death of Franz. Russo would also provide more information on AM, about whom he found out about Franz's printer's memory card. AM is revealed to be wanted by Homeland Security based on a conspiracy to commit terrorism, and is also an arms dealer who can get any arms for the highest bidder. The next part of the investigation would take Reacher to Atlanta, Atlantic City, where he finds out that Franz was working with former special units and currently missing members Sanchez and Orozco. An acquaintance of Orozco would later mention that Orozco would be repeating a sentence a lot, 650 at 100k each. Reacher and the team would believe it to be related to a case regarding the nearby casino where Orozco and Sanchez worked as security. But this would prove to be wrong when Chief Security Officer Wright would confirm that they were not working on any special case. But AM, meanwhile, would be given a tip about 650 weapons which he mentions will not be used on US soil, making this the case that Orozco and Sanchez were probably investigating. Shane Langston, an employee at New Age Technology who was earlier contacted by Neagley, would be revealed to be torturing Franz regarding how much he knew about a weapons deal between Langston and AM. Meanwhile, Reacher and the team would find out about Sanchez and Orozco's bodies being found in the same area as Franz earlier, along with similar torture marks. Reacher soon is able to take out the hitman Saropian, who was hired to take out Reacher as he finds a pass for New Age Technology. Dixon and Neagley would then go on to meet the director of operations at New Age, Marlowe Burns, who would identify Saropian as an interviewee and give them his address. This would turn out to be a setup, as when Reacher and the team would reach the place, they would be ambushed by other men who tried to kill them. The team would then go on to break into the New Age and end up stealing the hard drives. This gives them a new breakthrough as they find out that their former colleague Tony Swan also worked at New Age, who Reacher believed to have died after finding his dog to be locked inside the house. Movie adaptation of Jack Reacher. The Prime Video series Reacher is not the first time that Reacher has found a live-action adaptation. In 2012, Jack Reacher was released as the first cinematic adaptation of Lee Child's 2005 novel, One Shot. Reacher investigates the charges of James Barr, an ex-US Army sniper who has been charged with shooting and killing 5 people. Reacher meets up with Barr's defense attorney, Helen Rodin, revealing how Barr had caused killings during his time in Iraq but got free due to the victims being assaulters, and agrees to help her investigate. He figures out that the inconsistencies in the killings, figuring out that they were not done by a professional sniper but rather Barr was being framed. He would also go on to find the real leader who orchestrated the killing to be an ex-Soviet prisoner known as Zek Chelovek. Later they have a showdown when Zek's gang kidnaps Helen. Realizing that Zek won't be imprisoned, he goes on to shoot him while providing Helen with a theory that would help clear Barr's charges. Tom Cruise stars as Jack Reacher in this adaptation. Rosamund Pike as Barr's defense attorney, Helen Rodin. Richard Jenkins as district attorney and Helen's father, Alex Rodin. Werner Herzog as Zek Chelovek. And Robert Duvall as former US Marine Corps gunnery sergeant, Martin Cash. Tom Cruise would again reprise the role of Jack Reacher for the 2016 sequel, Jack Reacher Never Go Back, an adaptation of Lee Child's 2013 novel Never Go Back. Reacher this time investigates Major Susan Turner, who he believes to have been falsely accused of murdering the US Army military police soldiers in Afghanistan. While meeting Turner's lawyer, Reacher also gets to know that he is being charged with a paternity suit by an old acquaintance, Candice Dutton, who believes him to be the father of her daughter Samantha. With Reacher getting framed for the murder of Turner's lawyer, they soon realize that they are being framed as part of a huge conspiracy, with Samantha being in danger too, due to her being believed to be Reacher's daughter. Reacher, Turner and Samantha soon investigate and get into life-threatening events to find General James Harkness, who has been selling weapons illegally and smuggling drugs, to be behind the framing of Reacher and Turner as a way to cover up the murders. Samantha reveals that she was the one who filed the lawsuit, and when her mother and Reacher don't recognize each other, she realizes that Reacher is not her father, but they continue to stay in touch. Through a phone, she leaves with him. The sequel featured Kobe Smulders as Major Susan Turner, Danica Yarosh as Samantha, Robert Nepper as General James Harkness, and Aldous Hodge as Captain Espin. Marvelous verdict. With 5 episodes remaining, it is tough to understand where the story of Reacher will go, and if all those he considers friends will remain by his side or will turn against him. The first season of Reacher was filled with an exciting mystery that was also very personal for Reacher himself. With the second season, there are more lives at stake and a conspiracy that goes way beyond the limits of a small town. Only time can now show if Reacher is able to come out of this victorious or if there will be huge losses along the way. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.